One Piece of String by Martha Jocelyn. For this project, you will need thick white paper, liquid watercolors, a protective surface, and a book. So after watching that video, I thought how fun it would be to do something artistic with my string. And I didn't really want to draw a picture, although that is pretty fun, so we might do that later. But right now, we're going to take this string and we are going to dip it into our liquid watercolors. Now, I made these liquid watercolors just using food coloring and water because I didn't have any liquid watercolors at home. And you see also I'm wearing protective gloves. The only reason I'm wearing protective gloves is because I don't want to get food coloring all over my hands and stain my fingers. But if that happens, I know that it'll wear off with time. After a couple of baths, you'll be fine. The other thing I suggest is that this activity is done outside. I put a lot of protective coating onto my surfaces, but you see I'm going to just put the string into my liquid watercolor, and I'm going to, and you see the reason I have protective coating, blue's already dribbled out, and I'm going to put the yellow in here, okay, and then the last one I'm going to put into the red. So you see I'm just dipping them in there. Now they have not sunk, they're sitting on the top. So I'm going to need to push them down in to the paint. So I will just take the end of my paintbrush here. You could take a pencil. I mean, you could use your fingers, but we want to get that string saturated with the color. So it's going to take a little while for it to absorb into the string. Now, I left a tail of each string out, and that is so I can put the string on my working surface so that I can pull it, because what we're going to do is we're going to pull this string across our paper and hopefully get a really cool design. I have not ever done this before. I saw it on the internet and I thought it could be something super fun for us to try. So once I have all of this down in there, I'm going to take my paint pot of red and I'm going to, oops, there we go. I'm going to start to pull it out of the watercoloring, and as I do, I'm actually holding it between my fingers so that I can get all of the drippy color off, because I don't want it dripping on my paper. Now, once I've done that, clearly I'm going to need to wipe my hands off, you see, because my hands have all the drippy food coloring on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my string on my paper, and I'm not going to move it once I've laid it down on to the paper. So there's one. Now I'm going to repeat the procedure for blue. Okay. And I'm going to lay the blue down here. Oops, and you see if I lift the string up, you can see I've gotten paint all over the paper, which isn't a problem, but I was trying to avoid that. Now, again, I need to wipe my hands off because now I'm going to be using yellow, and if I mix blue and yellow, I'm going to end up with green, and I don't want to end up with green. So I'm going to try to do this without getting that extra color in there. I'm trying to get that in the camera. There we go. All right, and then now you see I'm winding the string around, and that's because I'm going to try to get some cool effects once I pull the string. So here it is. All the string is laid down on the paper. Now I'm going to take a piece of paper and place it on top of this. All right. And then I'm going to move my paints out of the way. I'm also going to take a plastic cutting board and place it over this as well to just provide a protective barrier for my book that I'm going to use. So here's my extra cutting board. And you can use anything. You can use a placemat or, you know, saran wrap, tin foil, whatever you want. Now I'm going to take my gloves off because I don't want to get food coloring all over my book. And I'm going to place my book down here. And now I'm going to press down. So I don't have a very thick book. This is a rather thin book, so it doesn't weigh that much. And you do want something that weighs a bit. So if you don't have that, you're just going to have to add more pressure, which is fine. So now I'm just going to pull it towards me so it still stays in the camera so you can see what I'm going to do. So you see I'm going to grab all three strings there, and as I'm continuing to push down and apply pressure to my piece of artwork, I'm going to pull these strings, and I'm just going to pull them straight. I'm not going to do anything fancy with them. Oh, maybe I'm applying too much pressure. I can't seem to get them out. Maybe I'll hold this down too. Oh, look at that. Everything's coming except for the strings. So let's see if I can get it. I might actually. Here we go. Okay. Oh, there we go. So a little less pressure than what I thought. This is definitely a trial and error situation going on here. All right, so my strings are out. I'm going to put them aside. I'm going to lift my book up and put it aside as well so I don't get it all colored over. I'm going to lift over my protective coating, and oh, look at that. So it creates this really cool funnel effect as the string gets pulled down. So now I left the string sit on the paper for quite a while before I actually pulled it. So we're going to try it again, and we're going to just do one color at a time, and I'm going to dip it, and then I'm going to pull it out really quickly to see if it's less, absorbs less into the paper where it was laying and gives me a little more pulling. So again, this is an experimental artwork. So I'm going to put those aside. I'm going to grab another piece of paper. All right. And so there's my one piece of paper, and let's do blue. So I'm going to grab my blue paint and I'm going to put it in. And as you can see, now you see because the string already had paint on it, it falls in much better to get it saturated. So I'm just going to dip it a little bit there to get it saturated. Now I took my gloves off, so I'm going to actually just take a piece of paper, fold it over, and pull it off this way, just so I don't have it dripping. I'm not pulling too tightly because I do want to leave some on there. All right, now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to put this onto the paper. All right, so now that I have that on the paper, I'm actually going to put one piece of paper over it really quickly, and I'm also going to put just this placemat this time. I'm not going to put a book because I wonder if that book created too much friction for my string to pull out. There we go. This is much easier to pull out now. Okay, so again, I want to keep it going straight. So I want to pull it straight. I don't want to move it around as I'm pulling it out of the paper. Okay, lift up my placemat, my cutting board. Oh, and look at that. So I got a lot more paint residue that time pulling through here. So now let's try to do the yellow and see what happens. So we're going to put the yellow in there. And the yellow string got blue paint all over it and red paint all over it. So it's a little dirty. So I don't know how well it's going to work. This time I'm just going to use my fingers, see how that works. And this time, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it around in a circle around my finger. So you see I'm circling my finger, and I'm going to put it in that coil right on to the paper. I'm going to place this blotter paper on top and my placemat, and I can feel right where the string is. So I'm going to move it up a little bit so you can see me pulling out the string. Oh, now I can feel it's coming as a total blob, so I'm going to let go of the pressure. Oh, so you see it came out in a big blob. So we'll see what happens and what kind of effect that created. Oh, look, so it didn't do anything. It just pulled the whole blob down the paper. So coiling it really tightly did not work with my string. So let's try our last color, the red again. And this one, I will maybe zigzag back and forth across my paper. So that's out of the camera shot there, but you're going to see I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do it this way. And now my string is off to the side. So I will have to either pull it down and out or across and out. I think I'm going to pull it down and out. So we'll put my blotter paper there, and we'll move the yellow string. Okay. And so I'm going to start pulling it down and kind of off at a diagonal and see what that does. Okay, let's see. Oh, look at that. So it did pull those zigzags down, as you can see. So it created some cool effects here. So that was my second one. That was my first one. So this is kind of a fun experiment. Now, again, I recommend that you do it outside, and your hands are going to end up with food coloring on them, but that's okay. It will wash off, and I hope you have fun. As we read the story, see if you can find the animal hiding on each page. Plume by Isabel Simler. Goose. Peacock. Seagull. Ibis. Nuthatch. Guinea fowl. Owl. Stork. Eagle. Blackbird. Kingfisher. Jay. parrotfinch, pigeon, turkey, swallow, chicken, duck, oh, me? I collect feathers. Cat. Because I love overstuffed pillows, I am a dreamer cat. They call me Plume.